Hello, everybody. I think we are live here on Cantina Cocktail Hour. Let's see. I'm going to look on YouTube real quick, just make sure that we are in fact live. And I think that we are. Yep, there it is. I see it. I'm going to look on. Awesome. We are live. So really excited to do this today because it's been a couple of weeks since we did Cocktail Hour. And I'm super thrilled that I have the one and only ChrisLikesDinos with me to talk Jurassic June and all things Jurassic. So, Chris, welcome. How are you doing?
Pretty good. I'm excited to be here. I'm excited to talk Jurassic and all things, like you said, all things Jurassic. This seems to be an exciting month. Jurassic June's always a little bit fun, and it sounds like there might be a lot coming up. I don't know.
Yeah, absolutely. So, I mean, this is Cantina Cocktail Hour, and it wouldn't be appropriate for us to not talk a little bit about our beverages that we've brought along with us. So why don't you tell us a little bit about what you're drinking over there?
It's the doesn't look as yours look very fancy. The Lockwood's Legend, or it's an old fashioned, but I used a little bit of wildflower honey. I kind of switched it up a little bit, fancier whiskey and a little bit of mix, some bitters in there, of course. And yeah, it's a pretty good orange peel bitters. And it's a pretty
Nice.
good contrast.
Yeah, bitters is definitely a good addition to any drink. I don't care what anybody says. So mine right here, this is a little personal concoction as well. I call this the Sorna Sunrise. And I just put this together a few nights ago. I was like, okay, last time I had a gin and tonic, which, Star Wars themed. This time it's like, what can I do this Jurassic theme? So I started with basically the logos, the colors of the Kinder packaging. So I tried to think, what can I do that's like orange, yellow with a little bit of red? And this is what I arrived at. So this is my spin on a gin and juice. So we have a shot of gin to start with. We have 2 shots of pineapple juice, or 2 ounces of pineapple juice, and then we have 3 ounces of just tonic. Mix that in together. Add a little bit of cherry syrup to give it a little bit of that reddish look at the bottom, and then just garnish it with. I have some mint and a cherry, so you can do whatever you want. And there it is, absolutely refreshing. It is really good, and definitely a good. I was going to say morning drink, but really it's a good anytime drink.
Yeah, I was hoping to have a bit of a fancier drink, but my workday ran a little bit later. Didn't make it to the store. I had enough to make a good old fashioned.
Nice.
As soon as I saw the name of your drink on Twitter, I was like, shoot, I need a name. Lockwood's Ledge. I was like the Old Hammond. I'm like, I don't know if I want it. It just doesn't sound, but like Lockwood's Ledge. There we go. That's the drink.
Yeah, it's a good name. You can't go wrong with something that has the word legend in it, right? It's got to be pretty good. So awesome. Well, cheers to you.
Oh, I see Jack is in the comments telling me. Hey, Jack.
Nice.
Yeah, Hammond, I think Old Hammond was what him and I were talking about. So we were just working together on Beyond the Gates right before I hopped on here.
Nice. So hello, Pedro. Hello, Brittany. Hello, Classic Action Figures. Hello, Mark. Hello, Nick. Hello, Jack. Hello, Josh. Great to see you guys all in here. Yeah, so Chris, how's your Jurassic June been so far? I know we're still at the beginning of the month, but how's it going over there?
Yeah, it's been fine. It's been busy. We've been working on Beyond the Gates, working on the next episode and beyond the Gates. And plus, on top of that, there's been a lot of interesting buzz afoot within Jurassic community, rumors and whatnot. Well, not rumors, I should say. More like Colin's had some interesting tidbits to drop, and it's been an exciting time to be a Jurassic fan.
Yeah, absolutely. I know we're all anxiously awaiting that new teaser trailer whenever that's coming. Hopefully sooner rather than later, maybe. So
that's what that's what it seems like. Colin, of course, said it's going to be sooner rather than later, a lot sooner than what people think. Then Frank Marshall hyped it up on Twitter. And then Mark Sanger, I believe is his name, the film's editor, was hyping it up on Twitter and Instagram. So they've got something cooking up, and they seem to be excited to talk about it. And they usually don't start hyping something up if it's that far off. And being Jurassic June, we're about a year out from the release of Jurassic World. And Fast and the Furious 9 comes out this month, which typically trailers drop alongside a tentpole by the same studio. It just all seems, in my mind, it all seems to align. So
yeah, no, I'm thrilled. I can't wait. And yeah, it's been a long time coming, and I'm sure a lot of people are super excited about whenever it does drop.
It's crazy because originally we would be seeing Jurassic World Dominion this month.
I know.
It's hard. It's hard to think about sometimes.
Yeah, but I guess at least, silver linings, it gives us more time to, be hyped about it, to, more toys. I know we were talking not too long ago about, the toys, how the delay affected merchandise and stuff. But I mean, to me, it's just another year of dinosaur toys. So I'm okay with that in a way.
Yeah. And I mean, without knowing what their plans were, I can't help but think that maybe we're just getting toys that we wouldn't have got otherwise, because they quickly had to basically obviously they planned to have all the new dinosaurs in the movie, and they can't release that this year. So they had to find a new way to fill the gap. And I'm wondering if that maybe allowed for just some, more obscure and interesting things that we just would have otherwise not gotten.
Yeah, absolutely. And I mean, on some level, I wonder if that includes some of the legacy things that we've been seeing, like something that I'm kind of spying up behind your shoulder there.
Yeah. So most people have probably seen this, whether it's online within pictures or the Beyond the Gates episode, but this is the Explorer. I think some people have it in hand already actually as well. But it's a really nice item.
Nice. Yeah, that looks, wow. It's mesmerizing just to look at.
Yeah, I'm thrilled with it. And I've got Timmy on the inside of it. See him lying down back there.
Nice. He's missing his sister, but baby steps.
Yeah, I really, really, really hope that Lex is coming out. I can't imagine. They seem to be really filling a lot of they seem to really be going through the roster of Jurassic Park characters. So I feel like Lex is an inevitability rather than an if. I think it's more of a when.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I certainly hope so. I mean, we're definitely getting a slow drip into the line from time to time. And yeah, I mean, we've had 2 Nedrys at this point. So hopefully, that means that, we're going to get some of those other, top tier characters that everybody really wants to see.
Yeah, no, I mean, now that we have Tim, like I want to get all the characters first, but then you start thinking like, oh, can we get like electrocuted Timmy with like his crazy hair and like dirt decals and everything like that? Like that would actually be like a really funny way to probably get a new item with like minimal new sculpting. Like you probably just need a new hairpiece and like a new deco, and it could do the trick. Yeah,
that sounds like a Comic-Con exclusive to me.
that would be really cool. That would be very cool.
It would. I'm really excited about this Explorer. I mean, I know ever since the Mattel line dropped and we knew about the Legacy Collection, people have been asking like, when is it going to come? When is the Explorer coming? And, they never really said no, but, we never heard an emphatic yes, you can expect it this year or the following year. And, now that it's actually happening, it's just like kind of, it's wild. I'm really stoked about it though. It looks fabulous. And, this is like a tentpole item, I feel like, for this toy line. And to see it finally coming it's super thrilling.
Yeah, it's actually absurd to me that it took so long for the Explorer to come out. Like, I'm surprised that didn't come out, like, alongside Mattel's debut. Like, when they had, especially because in 2018, they had quite a few vehicles on the shelves. And you'd think that, especially some of them were Jurassic Park themed, you think that it would have started that way. But it for whatever reason, it didn't happen. And I'm sure it was considered, but it never made it to shelves. So I'm glad that it finally came out. That would have been heartbreaking if it didn't.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, totally. And, maybe like you said, because there isn't the movie this year, maybe that's why we're seeing certain items like this that are kind of necessary to keep people engaged and interested in what's going on with Mattel's line. So, yeah, it's cool.
Then it feels relevant considering Dominion, with its ties to the classic Jurassic Park with the returning characters. It does feel right to kind of pull some of the classic Jurassic Park elements in before Jurassic World Dominion comes out. It feels very synergistic. Kind of have cross-generational appeal.
Yeah, totally. And that's kind of what we're seeing to an Amber collection, right? We're seeing, Ellie's finally coming, June's coming, and, Hammond and, a lot of other stuff that's rumored. But, yeah, no, it's you're right. I mean, a lot of this does tie into that original movie. And I'm glad they're finally getting around to Ellie. I mean, that's been, it's like, why did it take so long to get a female figure into the line? I don't know, but she's coming, so.
Well, where's Claire? I'm genuinely, where is Claire's Amber collection figure? I'm surprised that we haven't got that yet. Especially with Jurassic World, the first Jurassic World, I think that her costume is very iconic. and that would play really, really well in an Amber Collection figure. So I would love to have a Claire Amber Collection figure. I'd love to have a Claire Legacy Collection figure, considering Legacy Collection now seems to tap into the first Jurassic World. So it's sort of needed. We obviously have core scale Claire figures. I think they did they do 2 core scale Claires?
They did 2, and one was a repaint.
Okay,
they're both. Yeah, no, 2, and it was a repaint of the others. So.
Yeah, I feel like we need to get the Jurassic World 1 outfit, Claire, because again, that's an iconic outfit, and it really contrasts against the rest of the line.
Mm-hmm. No, it is, and that is, I mean, the Fallen Kingdom costume was neat and all, but it's very fitting for that film, and it's I feel a little more forgettable. Sounds like you're saying the Jurassic World outfit is more iconic. It's more, when you think of Jurassic World, when you think of looking like that, and I hope it happens. I hope we don't have to wait like a year, 2 years, 3 years for it to happen.
Yeah. I mean, it just seems like an easy toy for me in my mind, because you could probably use the same base sculpt, same head sculpt, new hair piece, new overcoat, and I think that would probably would take minimal new pieces, I would imagine, hopefully. So I feel like it's something, and again, it's unique, it stands out, it's fun. You can then recreate the dying Apatosaurus scene with their upcoming Apatosaurus.
Man. Yeah, you could do that. I don't know if I will, but you could do that. Yeah, no, that'd be fun. I mean, there's just so many humans, and we've talked about this, before, how it's just, I mean, Jurassic is about the humans interacting with the dinosaurs, and that dynamic. What does that look like? When you have these adventures on these islands, what's the result of these dinosaurs having been brought back? And when you have a line that's just primarily or almost entirely dinosaurs right now, it makes you forget a little bit about what kind of makes Jurassic special and unique. And it's not just like a dinosaur movie. It's about these interactions and mankind. And I feel like that's kind of gotten lost in this Mattel line in recent years, is not seeing the humans like we did when the line first appeared. The vehicles and all that stuff.
Yeah, I mean, Jurassic, first and foremost, the movies are about the humans, the characters, and the stories that, like, the growth that they go through. So, I mean, the dinosaurs are obviously the big draw, but, like, it's about the characters. So I have always said that, like, the humans, I mean, dinosaurs, humans, vehicles, they're like the golden triangle of Jurassic collecting. And it creates a really good play pattern. It creates a really good collecting pattern. And I think with the dinosaurs on their own, they're just dinosaurs. It's by kind of fully realizing that entire golden triangle and bringing that all to life. And again, it offers really cool play patterns. So even if you're not the collector, it creates better ways to play with the toys. You can have the dinosaurs play the villains. You can have the humans play the villains. You can have the capturing. You can have the breaking out. You can have the rounding up. And obviously, these toys are for kids first and foremost. So that creates a good play pattern and a good opportunity there. And I do feel like, and I know that it's a difficult thing because retailers control a lot of like what gets ordered, and they get nervous about things that aren't dinosaurs. So it's complicated, but yeah, I do want to see that tapped into more.
Yeah, totally. That would be the dream. We'll see if we get back to that when Dominion does come out, and then we have another. The toy line is rebooted, relaunched, and it'll be interesting to see what the focuses are, how they change from 2018 to 2022. I mean they've had a few years now to get this line going, and retail has their experiences with it now, and I'm just really eager to see next year what that looks like, what that movie line looks like. Is it similar to 2018? Is it bigger? Is it smaller? Is it more focused on dinosaurs? Or do we start seeing more vehicles and place that type world building type aspects to it again? So it'll be interesting to see what starts leaking, I think, in the next number of months.
Yeah, it feels like leaks are always inevitable, especially when it comes to merchandising, unfortunately. But I really do hope that we see a fully fledged. I really do want to see a fully fledged line, and I mean, I'm hoping. I feel like the added incentive is the fact that there are so many legacy characters coming back into play. That it'll be really easy for like retailers to go, yeah, we want humans. Dr. Grant's in the movie, Ellie Sattler's in the movie. So you have this cross-generational appeal. And I feel like you can really only tap into that by embracing the human characters with the merchandising. So I genuinely, I feel confident it will happen just because it feels like a no-brainer to me. Not just because I want it, but I definitely want it.
Yeah, for sure. So this is an interesting one. I'm surprised we still haven't got Owen and his motorcycle from Mattel. So Chris, why did we get that weird motorcycle that we did get?
So it's funny. From what we can tell, I can't remember the name of the SKU, but there was the ATV and the Draco Rex. So that was originally part of a SKU. So it was going to be the ATV and the Draco Rex and a motorcycle and was it Celiurus? I don't even know how to pronounce that dinosaur name now that I say it. But I believe it might have been that one. And it unfortunately got cut, but they repackaged the motorcycle that was originally planned for that into the set with Owen and the battle damaged baryonyx. But yeah, originally we were going to get, well, not Owen and his motorcycle, because it was going to be a park worker with a removable helmet, and it was going to be like a capture set. So that's why we got Owen in a weird motorcycle rather than Owen and his motorcycle. But
interesting.
It feels like I feel like we should. That's like, again, another no-brainer. Is Owen and his motorcycle.
Yeah, that Raptor 4-pack that's coming soon. Like, that would have been cool to put it in there. You have a nice box with the 4 Raptors, Owen, his bike.
But only if they would get the Raptor Squad colors right.
Yeah, that's another thing. I know that, this is a big source of frustration for you. Yeah, these Raptor colors are never, it seems like it's so rare that they actually get them correct. And, every time an attack pack or a Savage Strike is released, we're like, what's the source of inspiration for this?
It changes every time, but it never seems to be based off of anything that makes sense. But it's not just a Mattel problem, for what it's worth. It seems to be a across-the-board problem. And if you pay attention to some of the art and renders out there, you can start piecing together maybe where the mistakes are coming from and how it happens and how it happened. And partly it's because if you look at the renders for the Raptor Squad, the marketing renders that were created for Jurassic World, they were created at the tail end of 2013 before the Raptors had their final designs or colors. And what ended up, they changed. Some of them changed quite a bit, and they never created final renders based off of their final design. So you have a brown Velociraptor and blues sort of greenish grayish with a black stripe. So the first Jurassic World Raptor renders are just off. And now obviously there's proper renders for blue. Charlie, didn't change that much. So Charlie, usually they get her right. Delta's just complicated because she's green, and her to really enact her patterning, you have to get really complex, and it's kind of hard to do that on a tiny 3.75 inch figure.
Sure.
But Echo, I don't know what's going on there. I've seen some fan renders and I've seen some early renders, and I'm like, I think they tapped into the wrong source material when making Camp Cretaceous, to be honest with you. I don't think it was a purposeful retcon. I think that they just didn't have the right materials, and they messed it up. And
yeah.
I don't know.
Just like they did with Blue's blue stripe on her left eye.
Yeah, exactly. To save budget, I guess they made Blue's model symmetrical, including her texture. So, the stripe goes to both eyes rather than cutting short on the one side.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I know what you're saying, though. For Jurassic World, some of those early merchandise items, there were those keychains that would come with the collector card, or the dog tags, I think it was, the dog tags. And they had those cards, and the Raptors look completely different than they did in the film.
Yeah, no, yeah, exactly. Those were, I think the first time we saw the Raptor Squad renders were on fruit gummy packaging, if you recall. And I believe that those were the renders that were used there. And one was brown, one was green. You had blue that had a black stripe, and then I think at that point Echo was sort of close to looking like the film version of Echo, just without the blue stripes so much. But I don't know. Long story short is the Raptor Squad have been messed up continuously, but at least the baby Raptors in Jurassic World and Fallen Kingdom, they looked appropriate to their adult versions. And in the Orlando park, they seem to be correct again.
Nice.
So really, it does seem like if Colin gets involved with something, they get the colors right. But if it's just style guide assets that are being used, they get messed up.
Interesting.
Yeah.
The one time we get a tan and turquoise Echo, it's inverted.
Yeah, exactly. Like we get one that is inverted with the stretchy raptor. It's like you were so close, and then you made its base color blue and its stripes yellow, rather than the other way around. How does that happen? Also, how are we getting so many different versions of Echo? I just don't know how like all of them are being approved.
Yeah, I have no idea. It's so weird though. Poor Echo. Oh my goodness.
One day we'll get one. One day, I really hope that we'll get a film accurate Echo.
I certainly hope so.
With the scar, because that's key, is her facial scar.
Yeah, for sure. So let's see who else is in here. Hello, Pedra. Hello, Greg. Brittany, hi there. Yeah, great to see you guys joining us as well. Josh is asking, do you think we'll ever get a visitor center play set? Ooh.
That would be cool. I don't think it will ever happen, but that would be cool. I mean, I guess it could happen at a small scale. If they ever did like with the Hot Wheels vehicles, I could see them doing, or like I guess Matchbox. I could see something like sort of like slightly themed on that, but like the chance of a visitor center playset, with the way retailers are with playsets nowadays, shelf space, price, all of that's factored into it. I feel like it'd be unlikely.
Maybe they could do like like you said earlier, like a SKU, where you have different sets that kind of entail, this whole, like you need to buy like 3 sets to make the whole command compound or something. You get the fences with one, you got like the structure with another, and then you get, something else with the third one, and all together you can build, like a modular sort of thing where you can kind of like build something.
Well, that could be cool. And we don't exactly know how, but we do know that they did explore modular playsets with Fallen Kingdom. If you recall, the Baryonyx Bunker playset was built with modular attaching pieces. And, down the grapevine, we heard that there were things that are supposed to connect to that, that just got cut, unfortunately. And I would have loved to see what those things were and how they all connected. But yeah, it's definitely something that they've experimented with in the past. But maybe it could actually happen if they built it out of more iconic locations. I think tapping into legacy is probably the best way to make things like that happen, in my opinion.
Yeah, that'd be cool. That'd be neat. Yeah, I know a lot of people are asking for fences in a gate, though, and it's such huge important parts to any Jurassic toy display, and the Kenner did that so well. And we have the Explorer now. We have more Jeeps, so it kind of feels like that would be the natural progression to go towards that, but we'll see.
And I feel like that could be done in like smaller box size and be a little bit less intimidating to retailers. So I do feel like that feels like at least a fence set and a gate set. That feels very possible. It seems very logical for collectors, for kids, for photographers, everything like that. It needs to happen. That way we're not tapping into the Hasbro or Kenner ones.
Right. Yeah. And those look great in photos and stuff, but we want to see like, I'm so OCD. Like I like doing that and seeing that, but I need it all to be like from the same company, like for it to like really make sense for me. So.
Well, yeah, and just from a marketing perspective, you think that it would make sense to tap into it. That way they can actually sort of advertise them all together and have like diorama displays. And it's like everything on camera, everything on like in picture is part of a retail item that you can buy or could buy at a time.
Totally. Yeah, that'd be cool. So the Rex that you have behind you that comes with the Explorer, as far as the color goes, that's a bit different from the recent Stomp and Escape, right? That looks like it's like a different color palette. Is that something we've seen before, or is that?
So this is the Extreme Chomping Rex. So we've seen the sculpt before. As far as I can tell, there is nothing new with the sculpt whatsoever. However, the paint job is definitely a little darker, a little bit more muted. And I think this is probably my favorite one yet in terms of like, it's a more simple paint job than some of the more complex ones of the larger Rexes. However, just the look of it feels really Jurassic, I guess. I feel like the eyeshadow contrasts pretty well. It gives it a very nice muted look, and it feels very true to Jurassic Park. And I think it's a really good base coloration scheme that just feels pretty true to Jurassic, in my opinion.
No, it looks nice. I'm looking up at the Epic Roar, and it looks a little different from that still, doesn't it?
Yes, it does look a little different than the Epic Roar, and the Epic Roar's lighter, a little brighter, a little less blended with its colors. These colors are all subtly blended pretty well. it looks a little more like a little more abrupt on camera the way it's reading, but it's a little bit to the eye. It's a little more blended, and it just looks good. I like the eyeshadow, and it just photographs really, really well. I had a lot of fun playing with it in Beyond the Gates because you really capture that eyeshadow, and it just like had that imposing size when juxtaposed against the Explorer.
Yeah, no, that looks cool. That looks really neat. Like just comparing it to some of these more recent guys that we've also gotten, like the Apple Pie Rex right here.
I don't have either one of those Rexes that you have. I do not have either one of them in hand. Yeah, those are ones I really want to get a hold of.
Yeah, it's neat. Like at first, you look at it in those early pictures, it's like, I don't know about that, but it's actually like pretty fun. You just press the button and just change it.
I love how stark the eyeshadow, for lack of better words, is on that Rex.
Yeah.
And I do like the complex patterning on the back. I almost would love to see something where, you know how like there's a airbrush that's on this back that like darkens it a little bit. Mm-hmm. I'd love to see like, airbrushing laid down and then like the patterning applied atop it to give you like a 3-point coloration. I feel like we need an ultimate T-Rex in terms of paint job. Like I still one that gives it a more complex paint job. I know that it might be more pricey, but it's a T-Rex, so I think that it could justify the price in the shelf space, and I think it would sell if they did like a slightly more collector geared T-Rex.
Oh, that'd be the best.
So it was classic Jurassic.
Yeah, absolutely. I'd really like to see that. And I really like how they incorporated like the separately like jointed upper and lower jaws in this one because there's no like button to press. It's just
that is nice. I didn't know that the upper skull sort of pivoted as well.
Yeah. It does just like the it goes really white, just like the super colossal.
Okay, yeah, that is nice. That's a pretty cool figure. And
it is nice, yeah.
I have mixed feelings sometimes about permanent battle damage. Obviously, you can make it swipe away, but I still don't think it's as seamless as removable battle damage. But sure. I do think that's a pretty creative solution there. And it's fun. It's a fun novel, especially because it's not every item that has permanent battle damage.
Right.
It's and they find really fun, creative ways to do that.
Yeah, totally. And I think this little one here, the battle damage Rex, or what are they calling it now? It's not battle damage; it's extreme damage, I think.
Extreme damage, yeah.
Yeah, it has the exact same like paint as this one right here. The escape, stop and escape. The same paint. It's weird.
Really, is it like the exact same tone as well? Because I haven't been able to tell from like
they're pretty close. Maybe not 100%, but they're pretty close.
Looks like there might be more airbrushing on the face of the larger one, just looking at it.
Yeah, probably. It's a little more detailed. But like the modeling and stuff on the back is pretty similar.
Yeah. I mean, I imagine most of these are built from the same digital model and then retold to the articulation a little bit. But it does feel like most of these items, when you get a redux of the same species, it doesn't feel like it's a ground up new sculpt. It does feel like it's like basically taking a ZBrush model, slightly reposing it, and then like using that same. Like, it has the same nuances. It feels very like it feels like they're all like sort of clones of one another, but like slightly, they're still different. They are different. Like sometimes there are sculptural differences, but they still feel the same at the same time.
Right. Totally. Yeah. You need to get one of these Stomp and Escape Rexes. They're fun.
Yeah, you know what? Something about the patterning, especially on that one, has just reminded me a bit of the Kenner Red Rex. I don't know exactly what about it is that like reminds me of it, but there's something about it that feels very retro and Red Rexy.
Yeah,
not as saturated, not as red, but it feels like a companion piece to it, like a modern companion piece to it in a way. To me.
Yeah, no, totally. I can definitely see that with it. It's I wasn't sure about this whole. When I first heard about it, like this whole sort of feature to it that it has, but just the like, it's funny.
It's funny. Kids, and I love the fact that it has capture gear.
Yeah, capture gear works pretty well too.
That's a lot of fun.
Yeah, the 3-piece capture gear set comes off, and then if you don't want to have it on there displayed, you can do it without it too.
Well, you know what you need to go looking HU Troopers toys with net guns and whatnot, so you can kind of play out different like capture scenarios. It's a no-brainer to me. And then you can do Jurassic Park workers, and again, you can lean in. I feel like Mattel's missing a trick of not embellishing some of the details, like giving some of the characters like more fictionalized weapons and play patterns. I think that might be a way to make humans play out a little bit better in the line. If you have like net launchers and things like that, like add a play pattern, especially if it's not like a film character. If it's a film character, I understand tapping into the very like film specific accessories, but if it's not a film character, have a little bit of fun and add a play pattern with it, in my opinion. And Kenner did that very well.
Yeah, no, they did. And you know, that's something that I've wondered for some time is like, you know, we have these other ACU troopers that they've done, or in the mercenaries that they did in 2018. Like, why can't they just take those and repaint the outfits or swap some of the heads? And, you know, just that really go a long way to like building out your little collection of mercenaries and ACU troopers. And I mean, even like the pilot, you know, just give him a head, like, you know, non-helmeted head, and that would be pretty fun.
The pilot is actually the perfect. I feel like they forgot that they sculpted the pilot because we haven't seen any of that come back. And that was the one I was like, yeah, they're totally going to repaint this and make it an ACU trooper. Like that pilot body sculpt, definitely going to be an ACU trooper. It would have been perfect. I think maybe that's what would have come with the motorcycle set if it didn't get canceled and repackaged into an Owen set. But yeah, I would like to see that.
Yeah, that would be fun. I mean, it's funny because, you know, we see so many repaints in this line. We see so many things that are brought back. But then the ones that, you know, you feel like, oh yeah, I'd have to buy that. I mean, they're pretty simple things that you'd want to see, you know, like the ACU troopers, like the mercenaries, like, and a lot of the dinosaurs too. I feel like we've seen some sculpts that just never return for whatever reason when you've gotten like, you know, 12 different Dimorphodons or, you know, 8 different Gallimimus.
I love Gallimimus, but like it's a shame that the sculpt that keeps getting repainted doesn't really look like the film Gallimimus when they have an amazing Gallimimus in their Legacy Battle Damage Savage Strike / Fierce Force SKU, the one with the longer neck. I mean, just honestly, the base Gallimimus that they have, it's not a bad looking item. If you look at it out of a snapshot of it not being a Gallimimus, I always said it kind of looks like the Struthiomimus from Land Before Time. But it's been repainted too many times anyhow. Like it's time for a retool. If we're going to get that SKU of Gallimimus, let's take the digital model of the Legacy one initially, the one with the long neck and proper. It looks like the film.
Yeah, so good.
And also repaint it like Jurassic Park. Everyone's missed the fact that the Jurassic Park Gallimimus, for lack of better words, they have a very felty reddish color, and they have these high white socks, for lack of better words. You know, they have their feet, their legs are white from their feet up to like about their knees or so. And I think that that's just such an iconic look that Jurassic World didn't do, and it's a really easy repaint. I think it's a pretty basic paint job. It could be done. I'd like it.
Yeah, that would be neat. That would be neat. But I know we haven't gotten the one that you love more than any other dinosaur repainted, and that's the Dimetrodon.
So the Dimetrodon, if it gets repainted, I've got a few requests. I'm staring at mine across the room. So front digits should not have 3 toes. It should have 5. Another thing is, and I forget the name. For mammals, it's called a masseter muscle, which connects the jaws. But for dinosaurs, it's not. And I cannot recall the name. So I'm just going to refer to it as a masseter muscle. But if I recall correctly, they have their teeth extend beyond the masseter muscle, which is really weird for me. So it's like shave those off, keep the teeth on, you know, in front of the masseter muscle, resculpt that. And it sort of looks like a Komodo dragon, but I do love it in a weird way. Even though it looks so weird, I would like that one to come back. I want the Scutosaurus. I don't have the Scutosaurus. I was never able to find the Scutosaurus. And I was like, oh, I'm not going to spend $30 on eBay. I'll be able to find it.
Yeah.
That's
another one. I don't know. It's weird. Some of these like just come and go. Like that one, the second Mosaurus. Like I never saw that anywhere.
The second, which one was it?
The Mosaurus, I think the brown one.
Oh, yeah. I don't know if I have that one now that you mention it. I might, but I'm not sure. It's been easy to lose track. There's so many.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I just can't have them all out and about. Like it's become like a careful juggling act.
I know. There's so many. Like my rule now is just like one per sculpt on the shelf because I can't put them all on the shelf anymore. I mean, there's just so many of them. So it's one per sculpt. With some exceptions, I think I might have a couple. Yeah, no, I think it is pretty much one per sculpt.
Swords out. I got the battle damage, and then I have the most recent one. I do not have the brown one that released out of package. I have it somewhere. I don't know where, but I have it somewhere. But I have the two sort of aqua looking plesiosaurs. I like those ones.
Yeah, they're fun.
Yeah.
I have all. Well, no, I don't on the shelf, but yeah, no, those are cool. Yeah, hopefully we get more sea creatures too. I know that Greg, I saw him commenting in here somewhere. I'm sure he wants to see an ichthyosaurus. So
that would be a lot of fun. I would love to see them tap into a marine reptile in the what's the name of the SKU that like Suchomimus and Stegosaurus were part. Now they're like, I think they're called Mega Destroyers now. I would love to see a marine reptile tap into the Mega Destroyer SKU. I also think that is the SKU that the Allosaurus should live in, because we have not yet had a film accurate Allosaurus. In fact, it seems to get worse with each release in terms of accuracy to what's on screen, which is really weird. So I don't know what's going on with Allosaurus, but I do think that they should tap into the larger SKU, that the Mega Destroyers, or like, I mean, use the Albertosaurus sculpt digital model and retool it into an Allosaurus. I feel like that would maybe be the easiest way to go about it. Especially because it's so big. It is so big in Battle of Big Rock. That thing is gigantic, and it was such a featured dinosaur. It just sort of makes sense. And plus, Allosaurus is very popular. So if you make a big Allosaurus, I'm pretty sure it would sell with like casuals.
Yeah. I know the one they have coming out looks like it's maybe like a partial resculpt or retool.
It's really weird to me because it seems to be using elements of the Battle of Big Rock Allosaurus. So it has the spikes going down its body. It has like the spike ridge and whatnot. But then the head seems to revert back to sort of the Fallen Kingdom sculptural head with then some revisions, but the revisions aren't based off of the Fallen Kingdom dinosaur nor the Battle of Big Rock dinosaur. So I genuinely don't understand why it's called. I like it in its own way, not necessarily as an Allosaurus, but just as like a dinosaur toy. But I'm very confused by it because, again, it's probably the most removed from the films that we've seen yet. And it's like, at this point, we've had so many. It's like, what's going on?
Totally.
It's so tiny. Its head's so big. It's weird. It's misproportioned.
Yeah, for sure. Meme says, give me Sarah Harding and Nick Van Owen. Yeah.
I totally agree. The Lost World is horribly underutilized. It's time for the Legacy Collection to start tapping into the human characters of the sequels. Especially Sarah, especially Eddie, especially Nick, especially Kelly. And then you can get, of course, Ian in his new outfit.
Yeah. I'm surprised that the Amber Collection version wasn't that. I mean, when they said he was coming back, I'm like, okay, it's going to probably be the Lost World version. If not, it's going to be the Jurassic Park version with the jacket. And it was neither of those things. It was basically the same exact figure.
So, and I don't know this for a fact. So don't be like, oh, this is official information. It's not. I do not have any insight here. But my best guess is, if you recall when Amber Collection launched, it was GameStop exclusive. So the classic Jurassic Park female Velociraptor and Ian Malcolm were really only officially sold by GameStop in the United States. So what I think is happening is they wanted to re-release those figures and allow a wider audience to be able to, get those iterations of that character. So I think that's what's happening. I mean, also I would have liked to see, a resculpt of, right now the Velociraptors that we all have, they're all repaints of Blue's sculpt. Even though the classic Jurassic Park Velociraptor came out first, that is Blue's digital model. So I would like to get eventually a Jurassic Park model Velociraptor. A lot of if you break down every individual aspect of their design, the differences are subtle, but when you apply all of the differences across the entire sculpt, it creates a very different looking dinosaur. And I think it is kind of it doesn't quite look like the Jurassic Park Velociraptor. It's not a bad toy at all, but it could be Jurassic Park. And I'm very, it's funny. I'm definitely one of the more picky fans out there. And I'm definitely very beholden to my Jurassic Park versions of dinosaurs.
Yeah, no, I hear you there. That would be ideal. And we know this new Raptor is coming that we saw on Amazon. that's being reissued. That kind of would have been a nice opportunity to see that new head sculpt, but it looks like it's probably going to be the same, right?
Yeah, and I mean, so there's other things. I'm not huge on the Amber Collection Raptors hands. I would rather have three. So I would rather have like that more classic 3 digits where the middle digit's extended and the other 2 digits on the sides are symmetrical in length, but a little bit shorter than the middle digit. What you have now is like one kind of shorter one and then 2 kind of longer ones, and it's got like a little bit of a web look, and it's sort of exclusive to Jurassic World, so it really feels out of place with the Jurassic Park Raptors, in my opinion. And that's a finer level of detail. That is a finer level of detail, but and the other thing is the pubic bone. Jurassic World Raptors do not have a pubic bone, which is, despite its name, it's like basically kind of like the hips, if you can imagine. But like, so basically you just need more of a cut of the belly, and then after the belly, as it extends into the tail, where the Jurassic World Raptors, they sort of have a distended belly, and then it just kind of off into the tail. It's more of like having a chest and sort of emaciated belly, cut down to the bone, and then going to it's a subtle difference, but it's really noticeable, especially because we have so many shots of the velociraptors in Jurassic Park from like below and behind or underneath the legs, so you can really see the contours of their shape. And so it's one of those things that like you've seen it, the movie highlights it a lot, so it's one of those things that's pick up on the toy. Those are the differences I would like. And then, of course, the textural differences on the head, and the head should be a little narrower because everything in Jurassic World is just a little wider, a little narrower, a little sleeker.
Gotcha. You can kind of have that detail, right?
These are the finer nitty-picky details that, like, I'm one to, like, really get caught up on.
Yeah, no, I mean, it makes sense. I mean, that's why you do what you do, right? I mean, yeah, but even Kenner had that detail with the pubic bone on that raptor. So it got lost. It got lost over time, I guess.
I think the pubic bone's name scares, like, I think it scares, like, honestly, I think it scares, like, the brand teams. Like, they hear, like, oh, what's that thing? And you call it that, and you're like, oh. And they make an assumption of what that means, and then they're like, well, cut it. But so, like, what if I would ever talk to a marketing, like, executive team, I would probably call it a hip bone. And I would get the name wrong, and then we go, oh yeah, the hip bone, of course, yeah. Call it a pubic bone, and everyone's like, oh, we shouldn't have that. Call it a hip bone. I'm like, oh, okay, cool. I genuinely think it's the name that scares everybody away.
Oh wow, yeah, that's funny.
It's a finer level of detail of just getting down to the science of it, and yeah.
Name. It's funny. Name says, I'm taking a shot every time Chris says pubic. Yeah, he's probably pretty buzzed at this point.
No, that's just my level of weird science background and my nitpicking details.
Yeah, no, it's all good. That's my favorite new term, Brittany says. So, Chris, tell us a little bit about how Beyond the Gates got started.
Okay. So, so myself and Jack De La Mare, Jack founded Jurassic Outpost in 2008. It was just a little background. Jack founded Jurassic Outpost in 2008. I eventually came on through Assis, who basically Assis was the second person to join Outpost, and then Assis sort of recruited me with Jack. But anyhow, Assis is now in the Canadian Army. But anyhow, that's neither here nor there. Jack and I we all try to communicate with the brands that we work with, in terms of just making sure that we're all on the same page. We're not covering leaks that are like a leak, everything along those lines. On top of that, Jack and I, our backgrounds of work are a little bit more closely related to the industry than you would imagine just beyond the fan site itself. So we also have our own individual relations with the studios and whatnot. So I think that, and now here's me filling in the blanks, I think that COVID created some opportunities as everything's shifted to work from home and certain things weren't as readily available. We were communicating about some of the options with Universal, and we just sort of they expressed that they have a program working with Target, and it was sort of like, how would you guys do this? What's your pitch? So we came back with our pitch, and they liked it. we storyboarded it. We, wrote the outline and everything along those lines. And then so this is sort of separate than Jurassic Outpost. So it's like Jack and I as independent, like contractors or whatever you want to call it, we're working on this pitch and creating this program in conjunction with Universal and Target that is also partnered with then Jurassic Outpost. But like the Jurassic Outpost element is more just like a bit of a co-branding partnership rather than like I don't know if like it's complicated. But anyhow, so yeah, they liked it and we began working on it, and soon I had to build a set in my apartment to film it. And it's been a really cool challenge, and it's been a ton of fun. Does that answer it, or is that like too vague?
Yeah. No. Yeah. No. Yeah. That's good.
So like, yeah, we have a lot of control over it. Obviously, we have to go through the studio approvals. Universal's been a huge asset. They've had a lot of things that they've wanted to see in the show. We've had a lot of things that we wanted to see. It's been a collaboration across the board. We have to get approvals, everything like that. But as for the show itself, other than the logo and the show name and the items that are featured on it, we basically had control barring approvals for basically everything. Jack and I are the ones that shoot it. We're the ones that edit it. The music is from Caleb. There's just a lot of cool things. Obviously not the Jurassic Park themes, but the original music. So like we had a lot of control over it. Like even the intro, we like it's really cool seeing that intro because like Jack and I thought of it, storyboarded it, contacted a CG artist, and made it happen. And that was like really cool thing to have. Like, and it was a quick turnaround. We had like a month from storyboards.
Oh wow.
Yeah, no, that was a crazy turnaround. But yeah, that was a lot of fun. And it's just kind of cool seeing that come to life.
Yeah, for sure. No, you guys are killing it with it. I mean, every single episode is so professional and so interesting. And like you said, everything just comes together. The music, the sets, showcasing the products and all of that. You guys are doing awesome with it. So we love seeing that.
Thank you. It can be challenging because we have to keep it down to 2.5 minutes. And sometimes it's a lot of content to keep into 2.5 minutes, especially if you want to go deeper into some of the finer elements. That's, sometimes it's like your first in-hand look at these items because unfortunately, sometimes the images show up online before the episode premieres. But in theory, it's your first like look at the items because we know that the promo images can be very different than the in-hand looks, but also give you a look at behind the scenes and the making of, and it's a lot to fit into a 2.5 minute episode, especially in the episodes that we have more than one item.
Right.
But no, I'm glad that people are liking it. Everyone seems to be mostly enjoying it. I think the number one comment we see from people are like, "Hey, this is cool, but like, why isn't this just toys? Like, why not extend the format?" And I mean, I agree. It would be cool. But, it's one of those things like I would love to see just where something like this could come, whether or not it's us doing it or just me as a fan watching it. I love the concept. I would love to see more official programs like Beyond the Gates happen. I would like to see it be more than just toys. I just would love to see some more official content, I guess. And like, I love hearing, personally as a fan, I love hearing the making of things. I love hearing from the designers and creators of things. And I love having an appropriate first look at things that are like necessarily not like blurry images on Instagram or like leaked images with watermarks all over them. So having an opportunity to be a part of that is awesome. But even as a fan, that's something that I just want to see more of. So that's why I've been so super excited about it, to be honest with you. It's like, okay, I can't, it's been actually nerve-wracking. I'm like, I can't mess this up.
No, well, you're not seeing that being really good. And
I would tear into me online if I messed this up. I'd be like, man, cool idea, but they really dropped the ball on it. So I'm like,
no, you guys you're doing awesome with it. And, I think everybody's eager to see what your hair looks like in each segment.
I had this crazy idea in my mind to vow not to cut my hair until I see Jurassic World Dominion officially in theaters. That might be too much. That just might be way too much. Maybe I should end the final episode just like tied up in a bun or something silly like that. Definitely getting long enough.
Yeah. No, it looks good though.
Have you read the captions or the transcript for the videos by chance on target.com?
I want to say that I read one of them, and I kind of felt like maybe it wasn't 100% like as it was being stated in the video.
So with, I forget what it's called, but we have to create not just like a captioning for Beyond the Gates, but we also have to create like a descriptive breakdown. And Jack has had a lot of silly fun with writing some of the lines that are in that. Like, it's one of those, like, I forget what he wrote. Was it like Chris's long golden hair flowing in the wind or something like that? Like, when I read these, I was just like, but they were approved.
Yeah, I think that's what I was thinking of, or something was like a description of
they
what
live
was.
on Target.com. It's just one of those like little funny things.
That's awesome. I love that. Greg says that we need an ichthyosaurus or ophthalmosaurus. I've actually never heard of ophthalmosaurus. Have you?
What's funny is I have not. I know a lot of prehistoric animals, but that one is unfamiliar to me. Can I copy that text and view it real quick?
Ophthalmosaurus.
Okay, very similar.
I'm gonna look that up. We're gonna check out what an ophthalmosaurus is.
Greg, I totally agree. That's a really cool looking species. Sometimes I wonder if if Mattel strays away from species like that because they feel like, oh, it looks too much like a fish. Like, we want dinosaurs, we want reptiles. You know, I wonder. Like, I think like something like that would sell well and it would contrast very well. But sometimes I think that they're trying to go through like a lot of the species that look like more traditionally like prehistoric and reptilian like. But I would like to see that. I mean, I would personally. As we know, every year has like a theme to its line. I always thought it would be cool to tap into like a line that also has some Ice Age animals within its ranks. And then you can maybe like, again, repaint some of the dinosaurs to look. Yeah. I think that's really cool. But I could see this like them being like, but is it like just sort of too much like a modern day fish? Like a fat swordfish? That's not what I think it looks like. I just constantly look at things and go like, why would a marketing team veto this? Or like, why would an executive team be like, do we really want to do that? And it's a lot of times things like that.
I like it. It could have like flapping, like side to side tail action or something.
Yeah, and I mean, I think like a long beak like that, and if you had it filled with like, these little teeth and these crazy big eyes, these like, you know, dishpan sized eyes, like I think that could be like really, really cool. Do battle damage. This is actually completely not the same thing, but I think I talked about it in the group chat that we're in. But I'm surprised that Mattel hasn't done magnetic action features, where with the battle damage line, if the smaller toys have magnets in their feet and in their mouths and whatnot, and the larger toys have like magnets in their flanks, maybe by battle damage, so then you can have like a raptor that's like, you can have it freestanding on the side of an apatosaurus. Like that, where there's a wound, and then you can have these crazy functions where they can be defying gravity and like attacking the toys. I feel like that would just sort of be like a no-brainer play pattern. I'm surprised that hasn't happened
yet. That would be neat. That's actually something I wanted to talk to you about. With battle damage, we see a lot of little here and there. We see innovations in the way that battle damage is done. We've seen it with the Spinosaurus. We've seen it on the Albertosaurus, had the rib cage and like the little flesh bit underneath. And yeah, now we have it on this extreme damage T-Rex, with the flipping guts or whatever you want to call that.
Flipping guts. Flipping gut action.
Flipping gut action. Yeah, don't put that on the package. I'm glad they didn't do that. But yeah, I mean, it seems like they're making concerted effort to flip guts from time to time, to kind of update what they're doing and kind of innovate a little bit with these battle damage sorts of features. Is there anything that you can think of that you would like to see them kind of push as far as these features go, like into the main line?
I understand making battle damage its own unique, like retailer exclusive SKU or line, I should say. At the same time, I think it would just be fun if some items had battle damage, rather than it being its own line. I think it'd just be fun if like occasionally like an action attack. God, that name is so outdated. a Mega Destroyer, just like this one's with battle damage, this one's with capture gear, rather than like making each of these add-ons be like a line exclusive thing. Just occasionally bringing them in would be a lot of fun. So that's something that I would like to see, is seeing battle damage come in into play. Just a few items in the wave might not have battle damage, a few might. I think that might be fun. I think I can understand why removable battle damage doesn't happen. It's a choking hazard. It's easy to lose. It's sort of a hassle. There's a lot of reasons why it doesn't happen, and I get it. That said, I would like to see something that maybe offers as much seamless like covering as a removable battle damage piece. You could do things like this might be silly, might be gimmicky, but you can even do things like heat cover like reveal or something like that, like where like you rub the toy and then like it creates like a red mark or something like that, or like put it under water, which would only work with non-electronic items. I'd like to see more items. I would like to see them tap into it in a way that adds more play features, which I guess Brachiosaurus was sort of trying to delve into. Maybe not battle damage, but they're trying to make the idea of battling have a play feature that really like was real time. Rest in peace, Toys R Us. And then I guess like dipping into more species. Are there any species, by the way, that you would like to see get battle damage, or that you've heard might be getting a battle damage release?
I gotta look over at the shelf. Battle damage Bumpy. No, we don't want that to happen to Bumpy. No, never. Gosh, there's so many of them. Wow, that I would want to see, though. I mean, we've had very... You know what? Mosasaurus.
That would be cool. That would actually be a lot of fun. I would like to see the Mosasaurus get a little bit more functionality and like with play features and whatnot. I think the challenge is with the Mosasaurus, I don't think we'll ever get an electronic Mosasaurus because they're afraid of kids just ultimately introducing it into water, whether or not it's meant to or not. So I think that we're always going to have the Mosasaurus have the most basic functionality that could not get destroyed by water. But I think battle damage could be a lot of fun.
Yeah, that'd be neat. I don't know why I wanted, I'm still clamoring for a red Mosasaurus with a white belly and green eyes. I don't know why.
Red Mosasaurus with white belly and green eyes?
And green eyes, yeah. I don't know why.
From anything? Is that from anything at all?
Not that I know.
I thought like just sort of like a aqua green Mosasaurus would be fun. It's from color correction and some of the atmospheric effects, but we've seen the Mosasaurus sort of look that coloration, so I think that would be fun. Another thing I thought would be fun is one with like maybe more metallic paint, not metallic, but like shiny, glossy paint wipes that give it that sort of wet look. That could be fun, or like that maybe not iridescent, but pearlescent sort of scale look. That's just like ways to play with the idea of texture and highlights and lighting.
Yeah, that'd be neat to see. Good old Mosasaurus with the rip open belly and or something like that. Can't chat much driving for work, but appreciate everything you guys do, and I'll have to catch the re-upload. Jason, thank you for the super chat. We appreciate that very much. And this will be posted for anybody that misses it. It will be on the main channel once the stream is over. It'll automatically publish over there, so anybody can go back and rewatch us have a conversation about pubic bones and Chris's hair.
Back to battle damage. Do you think there's? Do you have any ideas what might be coming? Do you think that the apple pie T-Rex is the only thing that we'll be getting this year, or do you think there's more in the works?
I hope so. Extreme damage this is the first like branded extreme damage item, I believe. So I have a hard time thinking that they would create a new label for a one-off item. So I hope so.
That could be fun. Yeah, they seem to tap into larger species, so there are a few species that I think could be fun to tap into there.
Yeah, I certainly hope so. Brachiosaurus, why not?
Extreme burning damage Brachiosaurus.
Oh man,
the joke's been made too many times, but man, it's low hanging fruit at this point.
Yeah, that. But then it would have to have a new head, right?
like genuinely, I don't know what you do. Like the swipe away battle damage, but it's just like charged. Like it's just
Oh man. Heat activated.
I saw Liam's question.
I need to ask, all the reviews.
As a matter of fact, I do. And no, I cannot say.
That's funny. Yeah, it'd have to be a heat effect, right, for Brachiosaurus. I mean, that's the only way you could do, right? That would make sense. Heat activated battle damage Brachiosaurus.
You know what? In real talk, though, and I know that the sculpt shouldn't be the same, but if it were, would you buy a repaint of the Brachiosaurus that exists in JP3 colors?
Oh man, that last part. Out of a compulsion, yes, I would, because I do have, I think, pretty much every single dino in the line, minus one or two of them. But yeah, I feel like I'd have to. I don't love that color palette at all, but
it's a little jarring. But I do feel like on the classic Jurassic Park sculpt that they gave us, it could probably look pretty cool. It could be. It could be very striking, to be honest with you. Like, I don't love it, but I do appreciate what they're going for. In fact, I think I remember hearing that Fallen Kingdom has its own Brachiosaurus, but it is heavily inspired by the Jurassic Park Brachiosaurus. However, if I recall correctly, it was originally going to be inspired by the JP3 Brachiosaurus. It's going to be a little bit more, in terms of its body shape and skull shape, it was going to be a little bit more like accurate to modern science, and be a little bit more like a version of that one. And then I think that they're like, this just seems so jarring, that then they swapped to the Papo Brachiosaurus.
Yeah, exactly.
One rather than the Jurassic Park Brachiosaurus, it's a little more Papo inspired, but that one is obviously based off of Jurassic Park. This sort of reminds me of that.
Yeah, this one right here.
Yes, exactly. That is the Fallen Kingdom Brachiosaurus. It has like the same deviations. I'm telling you, it has the same deviations from the classic Jurassic Park design that the Fallen Kingdom one does, and I genuinely think that it was what was referenced.
That's funny.
Which, I just like to think that the Fallen Kingdom Brachiosaurs were stunted in their growth due to all the toxic fumes from the volcano.
Ooh.
Makes sense, right?
Yeah, that makes perfect sense. And then they had like like turquoise like on their heads, right? Like little spots.
It's the same thing that Triceratops have. I guess it's like their go-to for like, oh, how do we add a little more extra flair to these? Let's throw a little bit of pearlescent, sort of shiny, metallic turquoise scales. But
yeah.
I think that the Brachiosaurus also is a little shorter in Fallen Kingdom because they changed the aspect ratio to be a narrower frame, and then they have that shot where the Brachiosaurus walks by and they need the whole thing in frame. So they have a little stumpier, because if it were the same size, it would have to either be further away from camera, and it can't be further away from camera because the Innovation Center is right there.
Right.
So they had to squash it. I genuinely think it might have been a result of the frame change, unfortunately. Obviously, they would have shot it in mind. They could have pulled the characters further away from the Innovation Center, and they'd be able to fit it in the narrower frame. But I do think that's one of those things where like they downsized it, and they're like, now it just looks like a really big animal, too small for like this, like too small for like where it is. So then I think the design had to change. That's pure speculation, but it's sort of what makes sense to me.
Yeah, that makes sense. I mean, it's got to be practical too.
Yeah, you try to look at things and be like, well, why did this happen? Like, it's not like they weren't paying. It's really easy to be like, oh, they just don't pay attention to things. It's like, no, they probably do pay attention to things. There's probably a reason, whether or not you agree with the choice or not, there probably is a reason for it.
Makes sense. You don't have the blue Dilo. What's the blue Dilo?
Blue Dilophosaurus. Is it the purple one?
It could be the 80s Dilophosaurus. Yeah.
I'm thinking of I've got the one that they released with the water squirting.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, that
nice Dilophosaurus sculpt that they have, and I would like to have one repainted again. I do have a Dilophosaurus behind me. I don't know if you can see it back there. Not a Mattel one, but like a bust of one. You kind of see it.
Oh, I see it. Yeah, I see it there.
Yeah.
I hadn't noticed it before. Good camouflage there.
It's just chilling back there. The Savage Strike one. Oh, okay, the purple Dilophosaurus. Should I grab it?
If you want to. Trying to see where I have mine. I don't even see it right now. Oh, there it is. I see it. It's in the corner. Chris is getting his this. So we'll look at his
Savage Strike.
Savage Strike Dilophosaurus, and we have had a few of them, and this is just one of those Dilos. There it is.
So I really like it. It has the classic Dilophosaurus proportions. It has the pose. The sculpt is really accurate. I would like to see a version of this released without the frill, so you don't have this weird sort of articulation there. I'd love to see, or I guess I'd like a removable frill, because that wouldn't be a token hazard. It's too big.
Right. Yeah, that would be ideal. Kind of surprised they haven't done that yet. I mean,
yeah, but this is a very screen accurate sculpt, and I would love to see it in classic colors.
Yes. Yeah. I mean, the closest one we have, I think, is the legacy one, right? The one of the earlier ones.
The one that was in, was it like a 4-pack or a 5-pack?
Yeah, the multi-pack. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. That one is definitely the most accurate paint job we've had, and unless you count the Amber Collection one, which is very accurate, surprisingly accurate.
Yes,
which is actually a gorgeous toy. In fact, I was told that this thing, sells on eBay for a lot of money now.
It does.
And I did not know that until I think it was a phone call I had the other day. But it's a gorgeous looking item, and it has multiple neck sculpts, so you can remove the head, and then you can have a version without the frill, which is awesome. And the hands are. This is one of my favorite Amber Collection items. This and the Pteranodon. Easily.
Same for me, those two. The Dilophosaurus is great. It's just compare, like we were talking about some of the accuracies with the raptors, like the Dilophosaurus is pretty much like, I can't really think of a whole lot I could do or would want for it to be better. I mean, they pretty much nailed it for the most part. And I think it's the only Amber Collection item that is like completely like sold out, like within a few months of it releasing. And it is pretty expensive on the secondary market.
Yeah, I think hopefully it's one that we get a re-release of. I think the only thing I can think of that could be done differently, and it's something that we see in the 6-inch space that we don't see as much with Mattel's outings, or just sort of painting techniques like dry brushing and washes and whatnot. I do think that like the best thing I could think of, because this decal is great, it's accurate, just maybe one with more like pulling out the finer details.
That's nice. It's nice for sure. Chris, I need to know, what do you think about Christmas raptors?
You know what? I don't mind it. It's silly. It's weird. I don't want all of the toys to be released in those, I guess, bright and unblended of colors. But I think the occasional toy like that's a lot of fun. Especially if you're going to be delving into repaints, you need to have a little bit of fun. The only thing that I think I would like to see be done differently with repaints is theming behind the repaints. Maybe calling, Hasbro and Kenner dipped into that quite a bit, where it's like, oh, it's the lava raptor or the Arctic raptor or something along those lines. Like if you're going to delve into it, those different color schemes, create a little of not canon, because it wouldn't be canon, but like a little bit of lore behind it and like a little bit of theming. That I think that would just be fun. It would add a little bit of mythos behind the item, and then you can have like a collection of like lava themed dinosaurs or Arctic themed dinosaurs and whatnot. But,
that would be cool.
What do you think of it though?
I like it.
Yeah,
I like it. I bought 2 of them, and I do that for some items, but like this one, it's like, it's obviously just its own weird little thing, but I just kind of felt like you said, from time to time, do something wild and radical, and obviously not from the films. Like it just looks like a toxic jungle raptor or something.
Yeah, it's fun. I think that's always fun to delve into things like that. I would I do think that it would be cool if they paid homage to some of the. There's a lot of different Jurassic designs out there that aren't like from the films, but like sort of have a level of knowledge and like I guess semblance within like Jurassic, like the deep cuts. I'd like to see them like pay homage to some of those things, whether it's a trespasser raptor or something along those lines. I think there's a lot of ways to get into some crazy creative colors that look all new, but also then like have a little bit of standing with like, if you know, like whether or not they put it on packaging, but if you know, like which they did with the Trodon, although it sort of doesn't quite embody the Trodon.
Yeah, it's nice though. It's got some pretty nice texturing on the skin.
Yeah, no, it's got. They have some items that look very, very textured on the skin, but sometimes I do feel like it looks like a pattern rather than like organic sculpting. But I definitely don't necessarily mind them. That's just sort of like looking at them and going, why don't the other items have this? And I think the other items, when they're film accurate, they really try to make them film accurate to scale, which means the detail doesn't read as well unless you really look up close because it's so small.
Yeah, totally. So let's see. They should just re-release the original Kenner molds. Yeah, that's
only that easy. One thing you're assuming that even Hasbro has those molds anymore, which they probably have a few, but not many.
Right.
Whether or not they lost them, they degraded over time, or people stole them, because the reality is that's, when you see something that's like owned by a collector or something like that, it's like a prototype, there's a good chance it was just lifted and sold on the secondary market 20 times over. At least, especially back from then. I think today you don't see that happen as much because of security measures, but back then it was a lot easier.
Right. Yeah. And you do hear stories from time to time about like how like the vintage Star Wars like molds, were like sold off really cheap, and companies or like fishermen were using them as like boat anchors in China.
That's depressing, but also when you think about like all the Stan Winston original animatronic molds, they were they weren't really sold on, but Universal doesn't have. It doesn't matter where they are, but Universal doesn't. They lost them.
Yeah,
somebody has them. Somebody knows.
Somebody has them. Right. Yeah.
Somebody lucked out. Somebody lucked out by basically being, left as the guardian of these molds, and then eventually Universal about them, and they have them and they use them. And sometimes you'll see Jurassic Park accurate animatronic molds like appear in theme parks that aren't Jurassic, and you go, I see what's happening there.
Yeah, totally. And I've heard stories too about how they like rust because they are made of metal, they're not stored in the ideal conditions, and then the manufacturers, like the companies, Hasbro, Mattel, whomever, they have to pay storage fees on these. I mean, these are big things for like such little dinosaurs, and they got to pay to store them. And then decades pass, and like even the retro collection Star Wars that they did a couple years ago, they didn't have the molds for those. They had to recast them over the original Kenner figures. And as a result, if you compare them side by side, like the new ones are just a little bit bigger because they're cast off of those older figures. So, I mean, I guess that could be done if they didn't have the molds for them. But then you get into the whole thing of, well, now it's Mattel's license. So,
yeah. And I mean, I love the Kenner molds, but I think the industry has shifted to being more film accurate. And while the Kenner molds were gorgeous, I'm not necessarily sure that I would call them film accurate. Did they capture the essence and art style of Jurassic Park? Absolutely, for the most part. There are one-offs that absolutely were very off the art style, like the Gallimimus and the Baryonyx, and dare I say it, the Carnotaurus. Even though that's such a beloved toy, it was not on the art style at all. So I would like to see them, but at the same time, maybe not. I would just like to see more accurate, just like Jurassic Park.
Yeah.
Truly Jurassic Park, the classic accurate sculpts, like created from the ground up for the original films.
Yeah. No, that'd be neat. Like you were saying, if they could do like a T-Rex that's like fully articulated, completely detailed with, like more accurate paint, like that would be like a dream toy for me.
Yeah, I think that would be really, really cool. I don't know if it will happen, but I think it would be really cool.
Yep, absolutely. Let's see here. I'm just going to pop through the comments. And wasn't there a prototype of Therizinosaurus?
Back in 2019, I think. I wasn't a big fan of it. It looked like a carnivore, and it was really weird looking. neck was too short, its head was too big, it had a bunch of teeth. It was like that's a species I'd like to see, but like I'm glad that version didn't come out. So
was there anything right with it?
yeah, feathers.
Yeah, that's not something we see too often with this line. Josh says, I love Chris's hot takes. Volcanic damage Brachiosaurus. Yeah, that's the name right there for that. Should have just jumped in the ocean. No.
You think it's instinct would have.
I would have. I mean, even if I couldn't swim too well, I would have jumped in the ocean.
I actually don't like that scene, but that's because it just felt a little too on the nose, a little too forced.
Yeah, a little bit with the jump and, on the hind legs and all that.
I mean, I guess I can handle the hind leg bit. It's just like it walking out on the dock and then like seemingly staring at the boat. And it's like after we had all these destructive scenes that like didn't take itself very seriously. Now
right.
We have that scene. Like I think it would have played better if everything before it took itself a little bit. I don't like Fallen Kingdom actually, is the truth of it. So no surprise.
Yeah, like the whole thing with Owen, like barely escaping the lava, and then
how did he survive the pyroclastic flow? How did he survive that jump off that cliff? How did he shoot a gun underwater? Why was it all so silly? I just don't like that movie. The tone is I love the concept of the story of that movie that we got. I just like the execution, but that's neither here nor there.
Right. Yeah. I don't feel too dissimilarly, honestly. I mean, I don't completely hate the movie, but I haven't watched it in years. I haven't watched it in a long time.
I might have seen it 2 or 3 times, and that's crazy. And it made me appreciate Jurassic Park 3, which is also crazy.
Oh, man. Was this mold issue what happened with Mattel's Therizinosaurus? I know we were just talking about that. So I guess that was, some stuff just never gets released, right? Or it gets held off for later.
Yeah, sometimes, maybe they reviewed the mold and they're like, it's a little bit off, but then like it was too late. And it's just one of those things that might be in the cards, but just needed more time in the oven.
Right. Maybe it was subject to licensor approval. And they were like, nope, ain't happening.
That happens sometimes. Doesn't happen with Echo, but it happens with other things.
Yep, doesn't happen with Echo for some reason. Will we get a Jurassic Park gate set? So we talked about this earlier, and we said, yeah, it'd be great, but we haven't heard or seen anything, and they'd have to find that right opportunity to make it happen. But yeah, I mean, I know a lot of people would want to see that. Once I collect all 3 Mattel Infinity Spinos, I become Jurassic Park Thenos.
Wait, which one is that?
King Edward Lennox. Once I collect all 3 Mattel Infinity Spinos, I become Jurassic Park Thenos. Sure. Let's see. Gosh, there's a lot of people talking about this Therizinosaurus for some reason.
Yeah.
It's a popular thing.
That's a very popular species because it's so weird,
Yeah,
it
is weird.
Crazy Wolverine claws, and it's a weird looking animal. So it's cool.
Yeah, for sure.
Gennaro on a toilet would be awesome.
It would. It would. Maybe we'll get that second Explorer, and it'll have Lex and Gennaro.
Just Lex, Gennaro on a toilet playset. But honestly, like I feel like that's a very easy playset. You could have a little breakaway, outhouse type thing, or that would be a great. Wouldn't be Mattel, but a great bobblehead if you had the T-Rex and its bobblehead functionality was on the ankles, so it would just keep like
oh yeah,
to Gennaro on the toilet. It's really easy. It should happen.
Yeah, that'd be neat. It should happen. I hope we get all those guys, man. It's just thinking of the possibility. And, Mattel did a Hammond. Kenner never did a Hammond, and
yeah,
they never did a Lex either back then. So
I think
hopefully.
I genuinely believe we will get a Lex. I feel like it's inevitable at as long as Mattel holds the license, and especially because of the appeal of the classic Jurassic Park, they're running out of characters to tap into. So I do think that one is inevitable.
Yeah, that'd be great. And I know that, I've heard before people say, the park workers too. I mean, that's another thing you could do if you just wanted to, interchange heads. You could have multiple park workers, with their hard helmets and their jumpsuits, and
I think it's easy. I think you can embellish it a little bit. Be like, oh, well, here's what the heavy security characters look like and whatnot. I think that there are ways to play into that, and you can kind of play into the more action aspect of Jurassic with those types of characters.
Yeah.
And plus they're very unique looking, and Jurassic Park has such a unique production design look that I think that it makes sense to tap into. I would love it. As a collector, I'd love it. I know I would have loved it as a kid. I feel like many people feel the same way.
Yeah, I think so too. Let's see here. So somebody asked if we knew any ideas for the next Jurassic Sdcc exclusive. I think you already came up with a pretty good idea for that one, Tim, with his burnt hair.
That would be really, really fun. That would definitely be fun. Or figuring out, do you recall that Carnotaurus that was see-through a few years, last year, that came out? It was an image of it. It was a clear plastic Carnotaurus, and I just assumed that it was coming out. I think it was in last year's packaging, and I'm like, oh, cool. Getting a camouflage Carnotaurus based off of Lost World or something like that, but that just did not happen. So that's a bummer.
Yeah, I kind of vaguely remember. Could it have been maybe a prototype or just had temporary
It could have been, but everything was cast out of the same clear plastic, and if I recall, clear plastic is more expensive. And then it was all cast out of the same level of quality, and then it was in final packaging, not sort of slapped together. It looked genuine, and it didn't have preliminary or anything on the images, so it just looked like an image of a product that was coming out, but it just didn't happen. So I genuinely assume it was something that they were working on that unfortunately didn't make the cut. But I would like to see that.
Yeah, I guess Universal gave them the rejection stamp.
I guess, yeah. I don't know. I hope that one does come back though.
I don't know what it is about clear dinosaurs or clear. I mean, this goes back to things you would get in kids' meal toys, or those old little plastic dinosaurs you could buy by the bucket loads. Just clear dinosaurs that were in different colors. Those are always just fun. I'm drawn to stuff like that.
And it would make sense for the Carnotaurus because of the Lost World novel, or the Indominus Rex. Yeah, or an Indominus Rex repaint in just sort of leafy green patterning. And you camouflage Indominus Rex. I would buy that in a heartbeat.
Yeah, that'd be a cool one. I don't think they would do that for a convention exclusive because it's it's going to be this big thing. But I would like that. That'd be cool. That would be.
I'm trying to think of other convention exclusives. The other type of thing that I guess I would immediately think of is with Dominion coming out next year, is maybe in rumors of a trailer coming out soon, is maybe a Dominion preview item that syncs up with the trailer. I feel like that could make sense. But without knowing exactly when the trailer is coming out, what's in the trailer, everything like that, that might get too complicated. But in theory, a Dominion preview item could be a lot of fun. Something, I don't know. And it's not unheard of. If I recall, Transformers at least has done that, I think, in the past. Preview items, stuff coming out well before their film, synced up with the trailers and whatnot. So,
yeah, Star Wars did that too ages ago for the prequels. For all three of the prequels. So I mean that'd be neat. A new species, this is your first chance to get it before you see it in the movie. Or I mean, they did that with the whole toy line anyway, but
yeah, no, but something that comes out this early, a year before the movie, would be really cool, especially if the packaging had a call out preview, exclusive Dominion preview or something along those lines. That could be fun. Yeah,
totally. Well, cool. So, Chris, we've been going almost on an hour and a half. It's been fun talking about this variety of topics, including, like we mentioned earlier, pubic bones, and I'm going to be thinking about this for the rest of the night. Is there anything else you want to mention or bring up as part of this live stream?
I think I think if anything, it's just important the community knows that their voice has a lot of power and potency. So it's always like, say, if you want something, make sure it's heard. Support things and, be communicative, be interactive about it. And it doesn't mean it will happen, but people do listen, whether or not it's websites, community leaders, or like the actual brands or whatnot. It's definitely something like that. It's important to speak up and tell people what you want, what you think could be done differently, because that's the only way. If you want something to be done differently, if you want something to happen, a lot of times that's the only way it's going to happen. So, but say it in a positive, supporting way, and don't be like one of those jerks online about it.
Yeah, absolutely. I know it's so cliche, but it's not what you say, it's how you say it. It's, the way you present your ideas, your argument, your concerns. And I mean, nobody knows anything or, how you feel or what you want unless you're vocal about it. Nobody's a mind reader. And, it's when you share things online, like you said, it doesn't matter what medium it is, social media, videos, podcasting, whatever it is, you're helping to get those ideas out there. And, hopefully somebody's listening. Like I said, doesn't mean that anybody's going to take your ideas or your feedback, but at least, you're saying your piece. And, I think all of us, love this stuff, whether it's the toys, the movies, anything that, related to Jurassic. And we all obviously have our own ideas for how things should be, but we also want to see things improve. We want to see things be of a certain caliber of quality. And we want to, be happy with what we're investing in, putting our time into. So, very well said. And awesome. So, Chris, we really appreciate you coming on here. And
thank you for having me. It's been a lot of fun.
Yeah, absolutely. Where can our viewers go to find you online?
Well, Jurassic Outpost. I don't write every article there. A lot of my stuff is behind the scenes, especially with like Beyond the Gates. Otherwise, you can find me on social media as ChrisLikesDinos, and you can listen to me rant about dinosaurs more often than not, or retweet really cool artwork I see online, because I'm just a big fan of dino art.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think you like more than dinos also, don't you? I think now you own like a website about bugs or something.
That's a story for another day. That's really, oh man, that is a funny story. I do own a website about bugs. I talk about wearing a lot of hats. Also, stories for other days. We can maybe have a follow-up on that one if you ever want to.
Yeah, that'd be funny. Just to hear the story and see what that's all about.
Yes, that might be a few drinks in stream though.
Yeah, a few. Was it Legendary Lockwoods? Is that what it was?
Lockwood's Legends.
Lockwood's Legends. Okay, yeah.
And actually, it wasn't too bad because I really whipped it up together on like a whim.
Nice.
But it was actually pretty good. Picky with my old fans, so proud of me because I had no idea what I was doing with this one.
No, it looked good and it sounded good too. The ingredients. Awesome. Well, guys, thanks for everybody who's tuned into the stream. Thanks for all the comments and questions, and happy to see everybody that's been participating here. Thanks again to Chris for coming on here. I'll go ahead and throw links to his accounts and to Jurassic Outpost in the comments once this is all published and ready to go. If you missed any part of the stream, you can always go back and rewatch it and hear everything that we've been talking about so far. Chris, thanks again. Have a great night, and I hope we can do this again in the future.
Thanks. Take care.
Take care. Bye-bye.
Absolutely.